The red and blue lights painted my half-framed workshop like some kind of crime scene at 7:15 on a Tuesday evening. And there she stood, Victoria Langford. Clipboard clutched like a holy relic. Visor sunglasses perched on her perfectly highlighted head even though the sun was long gone. She actually smiled when the deputy asked for my permit. Like she'd just caught me burying a body instead of bolting down pressure-treated 2x6s on my own 3-acre slice of American suburbia. Let me take you back a few months so you understand exactly how we got to that glorious, face-melting moment. I moved to Willow Creek Estates after the last town chewed me up and spit me out. 15 years as a senior code enforcement officer. And some developer with deep pockets decided I was the villain for shutting down his unpermitted McMansion that was about to collapse on a kindergarten. He started the whisper campaign, Ryan Bennett takes bribes. Ryan Bennett looks the other way for cash. The rumors spread faster than cheap vinyl siding. By the time the investigation cleared me, the damage was done. I was that guy. So I packed up. Found a quiet lot outside Asheville, North Carolina, and told myself this time I'd keep my head down and my mouth shut. First week, the welcome wagon rolled in. Fresh-baked banana bread from the older couple across the street. Friendly waves from folks powerwalking in coordinated athleisure. Then Victoria showed up on my porch in a pastel polo and white capris, smelling like gardenia and passive aggression. Welcome to Willow Creek, Ryan, she said, flashing teeth that had definitely seen veneers. We're like family here. That's why we have standards. Your moving trailer has to be gone by tomorrow, community aesthetics. You understand. And that truck of yours? We prefer vehicles parked in garages, not driveways. It affects property values. I smiled. Took the 47-page HOA handbook she handed me like it was the Constitution, and said, I'll read every word. I actually did. Because I know how these people operate. 3 weeks later I broke ground on the workshop. Nothing crazy, just a 24 by 36 detached structure for my woodworking tools. Maybe a place to escape the noise of the world. I had county permits in triplicate. Stamped, signed, and blessed by the planning department. I even emailed the HOA Architectural Review Committee in advance like a good little homeowner. Crickets. Then the passive-aggressive letters started appearing in my mailbox like clockwork. Visible construction materials must be screened from street view. Your project exceeds the approved Harmony Index for the neighborhood. Cease and desist until full board approval. I kept building. Quietly. Politely. Every single day I waved when Victoria casually walked her yappy little dog past my property 6 times. Phone up. Snapping pictures like she was documenting a felony. The morning the concrete truck showed up, she was waiting behind her hydrangeas like a sniper. By lunch she'd taped a bright orange stop work order to my gate. Wrong seal. Wrong font. Wrong everything. I took a picture. Filed it with the others. And kept pouring. That brings us back to the flashing lights. Victoria marched right up to the deputy like she was starring in her own episode of Cops, Karen Edition. Officer. This man is in clear violation of our covenants. He's been ignoring every notice. This eyesore is destroying the entire street's aesthetic. Property values are already dropping, I have spreadsheets. The younger deputy looked at the half-built frame. Then at me and my sawdust-covered Carhartt. Then back at her. Ma'am. We got a call about unpermitted construction. Sir. You got paperwork? I wiped my hands. Pulled out the laminated folder I'd started carrying like a sidearm. And handed it over. County building permit. Site plan approval. Even the damn environmental impact checklist. The deputy scanned it. raised an eyebrow, and radioed in. Victoria's smile faltered for half a second. Then she doubled down. County approval doesn't override community standards. Officer. We have an architectural review process. The older deputy, who'd been quietly observing, cut her off. Ma'am, this is a county matter now. If the permits are valid, there's nothing we can do. That's when my county truck rolled up behind the cruisers. My supervisor, Marcus, stepped out holding his own clipboard like a gavel. He'd been my boss for 8 years and had zero patience for HOA nonsense. Evening. Folks. Got a call from one of my inspectors saying there might be a misunderstanding. He looked straight at Victoria. Ryan here is one of our senior compliance officers. Pretty sure he knows how to pull a permit. The color drained from Victoria's face so fast I thought she might faint into the fresh concrete. The younger deputy actually chuckled under his breath. I didn't gloat. I just stood there, arms crossed, watching her entire "I'm just protecting the neighborhood" script evaporate in real time. She recovered enough to hiss, "This isn't over," before storming back to her McMansion in her little white tennis skirt. But oh, honey, it was just getting started. The next 6 weeks became a masterclass in HOA psychological warfare. Daily letters. Anonymous complaints to the county about excessive noise. Someone accidentally backed into my stack of lumber and drove off. I kept my mouth shut and kept documenting every single thing. I installed 4 high-res cameras after I found size 7 floral gardening shoe prints in the mud around my foundation at 2 a.m. The footage was gold. There was Victoria in a hoodie and those ridiculous pink gloves, shining her phone light on my plans, taking pictures of my tools, even measuring the height of my trusses like she was conducting an official audit. I printed the clearest still, her face perfectly lit, mid-sneak, and slipped it into a plain envelope with a note, "This stops now." She lost her mind. The emergency HOA board meeting was held in the community center. Folding chairs packed with people who'd rather die than miss drama. Victoria stood at the front in a blazer that screamed, "I'm a serious person," projecting photos of my workshop like it was a crack house. This structure violates height restrictions, material guidelines. "In the spirit of Willow Creek," she declared, voice dripping with practiced sincerity. "We cannot allow one resident to undermine everything we've built here." Property values. I waited my turn, then stood up calmly. "Before we talk spirit, let's talk facts." I passed out packets to every board member. County permits. Time-stamped emails to this very committee that were ignored. And these, I clicked to the big screen and played the footage of Victoria trespassing on my property at night. The room went dead silent except for one older lady who whispered, "Oh my God. That's her gardening gloves." Victoria's face cycled through white, red, then an interesting shade of purple. "Those cameras are an invasion of privacy. He's been stalking me." I smiled for the first time in months. "Ma'am, the cameras are on my property, facing my property. You were the one trespassing. Multiple times." The board vote to censure her was swift. The president position was temporarily suspended pending investigation. She stormed out clutching her purse like a shield, muttering about ingrates and lawsuits. I thought that might be the end. I was wrong. 2 nights later I woke up to my security app screaming. Someone had spray-painted rule breaker and dripping red across the side of my workshop. The footage was clear as day, Victoria in the same hoodie, same pink gloves, hesitating only once before she started tagging like a petty teenager. I didn't call her. I called the sheriff. The restraining order was served while she was pruning her prize roses. The deputy read it out loud in front of 3 neighbors who suddenly found their lawns very interesting to stare at. Victoria's hands shook so hard she dropped her pruning shears. For about 48 hours. Peace reigned. Then the motion sensor went off at 12:07 a.m. Victoria was back. Crowbar in hand. Trying to pry boards off the back wall of the workshop. The motion lights snapped on like divine judgment. I stepped out onto my porch with my phone recording and simply said, "Loud enough for the cameras. Victoria. You're on camera." Again. She ran. Deputies caught her 3 blocks away. Still holding the crowbar. That should have been the final scene. But life has better plot twists than Hollywood. While I was pressure washing the last of the red paint off the cedar, my shovel hit something solid in the dirt near the foundation. An old metal box. Wrapped in disintegrating plastic. Inside were yellowed survey maps. Black and white photos of a farmhouse. And a faded deed. Langford Homestead. 1974. Eminent domain. The county took her family's farm to build a community park that never got funded. The land sat empty for years until developers turned it into Willow Creek Estates. Victoria hadn't just lost her little kingdom. She'd lost the dirt her grandparents once owned. I sat on the tailgate of my truck for a long time with those papers in my hands. The county attorney wanted to throw the book at her, felony vandalism. Violating the restraining order. The works. I asked them to offer counseling and relocation assistance instead. 2 weeks later she showed up at my gate at dusk. No clipboard. No visor. Just a gray sweater and eyes that finally looked human. "I know I'm not supposed to be here," she said quietly. "I'll leave. I just heard you found something." I handed her the folder over the fence. She read the deed and her shoulders started shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I thought if I kept control, if everything stayed perfect, I could pretend the land still belonged to us somehow. I didn't say it was okay. Because it wasn't. But I told her the truth. Some things you can't control. Victoria. Not with rules. Not with clipboards. Not even with crowbars." She left Willow Creek 2 weeks later. The new HOA board sent out a cheerful email about relaxing some outdated guidelines and invited everyone to a block party. My neighbor who once complained about my nail gun now waves when I walk to the mailbox. I finished the workshop. Stained it a warm chestnut that catches the afternoon light just right. Hung my grandfather's old weather vane on top. Some nights I sit out there with a beer, listening to the creek behind the property, and think about how close I came to becoming the thing I hated. The cameras are still up. Not out of fear, just as a reminder that documentation beats drama every single time. Here's the part nobody puts in the neighborhood newsletter: justice feels good. But mercy feels like freedom. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Was I too soft for offering her an out after everything she pulled? Or was letting her keep her dignity the real flex? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me if you've ever dealt with your own Victoria. Tell me if you think the HOA system is protecting property values or just weaponizing Karens with too much time and too many pastel outfits. Because at the end of the day, the workshop is still standing. The neighborhood is quieter. And I sleep just fine knowing I held the line without becoming the monster on the other side of it. Was Ryan too merciful? Or is showing compassion the only way to truly win against a Karen who's lost everything? Who is really in the wrong here, the guy quietly building on his own land? Or the woman who turned community standards into her personal weapon of control? I want to hear your honest take.